Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Tonight, once again, we are talking coastal protection as we are in hurricane season right now. June has just wrapped up and we are now in the month of July. Joining us here is the chairman of the board for the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, a gigantic state entity basically tasked with protecting all of South Louisiana. Johnny Bradbury, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate you calling me and having me on the hot seat today.
Right, we appreciate you coming in from Baton Rouge. Let's just jump out the gate with a big question here. Last week, we had the parish president of Plaquemines on, Amos Cormier. He talked about a diversion project. He doesn't think it benefits his parish, but you disagree with him.
Well, I disagree. But before we
Sure.
talk about that, let's just get into the real context of what we're trying to do so we can have an appreciation for what our situation is in Louisiana. We are losing, and since 1932 have lost over 2,000 square miles of acreage in Louisiana. We are in a crisis. Every 100 minutes that we spend, we're losing a football field, which translates to about 19 acres a day. So we've got a crisis going on in Louisiana. And to give you a perspective of that, I've got a map here that basically illustrates the southeastern port of the state. And if you see that, you can see the landmass, you can see the marshes.
Let's turn it a little bit more right there because I'll show it to the viewers right here. Yeah, keep going.
Good. This is 2017 data. It's layered data, digital data. And if I remove from this slide, from this picture, all of the marshland, the swamps that we have, this is what you see. And so
pretty shocking.
It gives you an appreciation for the importance of maintaining and preserving this marsh. It acts as a buffer along with the barrier islands, and so it's critical to protecting our culture, the fisheries that we have, the ecosystem that we have in place, and so we have to do something about this. Our level of urgency is just too critical.
And when you're talking about this area, obviously in that map, Plaquemines, St. Bernard Parish, Terrebonne, Lafourche, but it's also bigger than that. It's Jefferson, it's New Orleans are affected by what you just showed us.
Absolutely, absolutely. This protects this entire area, the New Orleans area, Jefferson Parish, all the way up to St. Tammany, Livingston, Ascension Parish. This is all critical to what we do.
So let's talk about this diversion project that the Plaquemines Parish president criticized last week. You feel like it's the right thing to do for the area, for their parish, for the state?
Absolutely. Think about this for a minute. We're standing on ground that was built by the river. And so what we're trying to do is capture the natural process of building land in Louisiana. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. You cut a hole in the levee, you engineer it, and you control that flow coming out, and you capture the sediment that our marshes are really starved of. And so, you know, proof is in the pudding. President Cormier is calling this an experimental project. It's essentially not. Again, we're capturing the natural process. It's not any more complicated than that.
Why is this so important for places like Plaquemines, for places like St. Bernard right now?
Well, to give you an example, I mentioned that we've lost 2,000 square miles of land area since the early 1930s. That equates to the land area mass in St. James, St. John's, St. Charles, Ascension, East Baton Rouge, and West Feliciana parishes. When you look at that 2,000 square miles, the Barataria Basin and the Mid-Breton Basin in and of itself constitute almost 700 miles of that 2,000 miles lost in that one area. And so it's critical that we do something about replacing that and helping that buffer for these areas.
A lot of people have seen, maybe not an image that drastic, but they've seen images like this before. They hear the numbers, a football field a day. But do you think people are actually listening to what you're saying if they don't live in coastal Louisiana, if they don't live in lower Plaquemines, lower St. Bernard? I'm basically asking this for the people in Metro New Orleans, in Jefferson, in St. Tammany. Do you think this resonates with them?
Well, we have to do a better job of engagement and education, because you're right, there are not a whole lot of, not a lot of our people get to see the coast, particularly from the air, and that would really shock you. So we have to do a better job of that, and we have a plan in place to do just that.
You guys work statewide, all the way from Lake Charles through St. Bernard Parish. How many projects are you guys working right now when it comes to dealing with protecting Southeast Louisiana?
We have a master plan in place, and it was updated in 2017. That master plan represents 124 projects. That covers the 20 parishes that cover our coast, and the 2 to 2.5 million people that live below I-10 that cover that coast. And so that plan is, again, is represented by 124 projects that we have in place. It's a $50 billion, 50-year plan. Do we have $50 billion? No, we don't. But for the next 10 or 15 years, we have a sum of money that will allow us to do a lot of these projects. And the diversions are one part of those projects. And I want to emphasize that if we do not approach getting these projects implemented with a level of urgency, we're going to miss the windows of opportunity that we have. Projects will then be, and conditions will be irreversible. We won't be able to do anything about it. And so a level of urgency is imperative. I want to say one thing before we start, before we complete this. I understand and I respect the approach that the president of Plaquemines Parish is taking, and the council. They have a tough job. They have one side of their constituents telling them one thing and wanting one thing, and another side telling them something else. We feel that the majority of the people in Plaquemines Parish favor diversions. Well, we both have a tough job. We've got to listen to them and take all of that into consideration. So I respect their position. I want us to come to the table and have an agreement and formulate an agreement to move forward. We have to work together, or we're going to fail, not as Plaquemines Parish, we're going to fail as a state, and it's going to be bad for all of our people.
And let's broaden this out. Let's talk about the whole state and really this whole area. Everybody watching this is sort of about the federal levee protection system. They had storms, Gustav in 8, Isaac in 12. New Orleans was really protected. But if people live outside the federal levee protection system, are they in trouble right now? What needs to be done to protect people living in Lower Plaquemines, Lower St. Bernard, parts of St. John, parts of Lafourche? Because it seems like Metro New Orleans is protected right now and hasn't flooded since Hurricane Katrina, at least because of a hurricane or a tropical storm. But what about people who live outside federal levee protection?
Yeah, a great point. If you look at this slide, this looks at Plaquemines Parish in particular, and it looks at the system that's being built below.
Sure, go ahead.
Below the
which is south of Jesuit Bend, is that right?
That's correct. There are plans in place to do this. We're going to spend billions of dollars trying to get this in place. Do we have all that money? No. We have a lot of it in planning. We have a lot of some of it that's being executed. What we need as a state for us to help make this real is for us to work together as a parish, as a council, and as a president. That's what we ought to be focusing on, okay?
How much of a priority is this for the governor? Obviously, the past governor treated it as a priority, Bobby Jindal. John Bell Edwards now treats it as a priority. Where is this? Where does this rank in order of importance for John Bell Edwards, now that he's essentially cleared with the budget issue at the state capitol? Where is this in level of importance?
To him, we have a coastal governor. He is committed. He obviously likes to fish and hunt, and from his perspective,
from Tangipahoa Parish, right?
Yeah, from a personal perspective, it's important to him, but also from an understanding that we have to protect the culture that we have, the coastal habitat that we have, the commerce and industry that takes place along the coast. This is extremely important and a high priority for him. There's not a week that goes by that I don't talk to him about our priorities, and that he's encouraging and he's supportive and he's helping us get money. He's helping us clear hurdles in Congress. So he is very engaged in what we're trying to do, and no better choice of words to say than he is extremely supportive, and it's a high priority for him.
Final question, because we are running out of time. Speaking of federal money, is it a challenge, not without federal delegation here, because they realize the importance of this, but is it a challenge when you deal with federal lawmakers, when you have to try to sell them on protecting coastal Louisiana? Because at times is the argument, oh, why is that important to the rest of the country?
It's very much a challenge. They see us as always pouring money sort of into Louisiana. The floods we have, the hurricanes we have, and to get money now from the federal government is a challenge. It really is. We have a good delegation, and they are helping us to try to do that, but we have to position ourselves to try to lay our hands in the next 50 years on another $32 billion. Right now,
That's billion with a B.
Billion with a B. Right now, I feel pretty comfortable that we can realize over this 50-year period $18 billion. And in the next 15 years, we'll probably spend $11 billion of that $18 billion. But our program is still short, and like everyone else, we're looking for the money to complete it.
All right. Thank you very much. He's Johnny Bradbury.
Thank you.
Chairman of the board for CPRA, a state entity. I'm Travers Mackel. That's all the time we have for the hot seat.